What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. So today we are going to be talking my top 10 bold predictions for this upcoming college football season. And also, while we move along, I did ask you guys on Bleacher Report, on Discord, in the community, on Twitter, a bunch of your guys' bold predictions, and y'all really pulled through on that. We've got about probably 50 bold predictions on that. I was going to keep it down to about 10 of y'all's bowl predictions, but I've got time tonight. I got nothing to do. So we're going to probably look at all your bowl predictions. We're not going to hold back. But while we're doing that, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on replay, whatever, join me down in the comment section. Let me know your bold predictions for this college football season. But before we get to mine, let's go ahead and look at some of your responses. Like I said, there were so many here. I'm going to try to move back and forth. So I'll look at some of yours. I'll look at some of mine, and then we'll kind of go back and forth throughout the stream. All right, so starting us off here with Josh. All right, Josh says Miami wins the ACC, goes 11-1, and on a deep playoff run. So Miami really loaded up in the transfer portal first off this year. Cam Ward, Damian Martinez. This team's been talented. Mario Cristobal's kind of been hit and miss as a coach. A lot of people are skeptical on him. We're going to talk a lot about Miami, spoiler alert, from my bowl predictions and from y'all's bowl predictions. Y'all really pulled through on Miami. Miami, I think Oregon's mentioned a lot. Michigan, Tennessee. All right, so I reached out to some Tennessee fans in the Tennessee chat on Bleacher Report. They told me to get out of there. So I don't know what that means. I'll keep that in mind, Tennessee, when it comes to my top 25 preseason-wise. But back to Miami. All right, Josh again says Miami wins the ACC, goes 11-1 on a deep playoff run. Is that possible? I think it is. The ACC is kind of up for grabs this year, number one. And number two, I mean, Miami's pretty freaking talented this year. Like, why couldn't they win the ACC, And 11-1, he's being realistic here. He's got them with a loss. He's not saying they're going to go undefeated and win the ACC, but he is saying, they're going to lose a game probably to somebody in the ACC. Because like I said, there's probably like 5 or 6 teams that realistically could win the ACC, and they're all kind of right there in the same pecking order. So whoever wins it probably is going to have a loss, but I think Miami could definitely win it. All right, next bowl prediction was, let's see, T says Texas makes a quarterback change between October 12th and October 19th. So he's got Quinn Ewers getting benched. He says Arch Manning is going to take the reins. Steve Sarkisian is going to hand it down. 12-10, 12-19. Let me think off the top of my head. I think that's Oklahoma, then Georgia. So he's saying probably most likely they're going to lose to Oklahoma. Then they're going to hand over the reins to Arch Manning. Then he's going to take the reins going to Georgia. I don't think that'll happen. I think Quinn Ewers has kind of earned that respect from Texas fans. And I think he's done a pretty good job, when he's played, that he's kind of shown that, yeah, he needs to be the guy. Talking about Quinn Ewers. I don't see that happening. I think Arch Manning kind of knows the expectations. He knows he's going to sit out again this year. And then if all else fails, if Quinn Ewers gets hurt or something, then he'll come in. But I haven't seen too many questions from Quinn Ewers to think he should be benched. I know he kind of had some bad games towards the end of not last season, but the season before. But I think he was hurt. Like someone his throwing hand was off. So I don't see this one happening. I think Quinn Ewers is the guy at Texas. Then you got Arch Manning next season. All right, next up, B Chambers. All right, he says Carson Beck wins the Heisman. Not that bold. I mean, it is a bold prediction, yes, but I think it's pretty realistic. I mean, Carson Beck, looking at his stats, first off, I didn't know he had as good a passing yards as he had last year, as many passing yards as he did. Now, they lose a lot of talent. Lad McConkey's gone for one, and then Brock Bowers is gone as well. So they're going to have to reload and figure out what's going on there. But again, I think Carson Beck is going to put up some really awesome numbers. I would not be shocked if he wins the Heisman this year. It's not something just automatically you think Georgia, you think, oh yeah, they're passing all over the place. You don't think that, but again, look at Carson Beck's stats from last year. He put up some serious good numbers. Like, he could definitely win the Heisman. I wouldn't be shocked at that one. All right, Michael says Kansas State, Utah, and Kansas are in the top of the Big 12. They're probably the betting favorites right now, actually, so it's probably not really that bold of a prediction, to be honest with you. Now, for me personally, I would have Oklahoma State in there. I think Oklahoma State, in my opinion, is the favorite. I know betting odds are like 5th or 6th somehow, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. They made Big 12 championship last year. Got a lot of guys coming back, but I think Kansas State is the betting odds favorite right now. So that's definitely not a bad idea there. They got Avery Johnson in the quarterback. They should be talented. Utah, you've got Cam Rising coming back. They're going to be good. I would say Utah right now should be in the Big 12 championship. And then Kansas, you've got Daniels at quarterback. They've been really good last season, but that was with Jason Bean because Daniels is always hurt. Now, if he can stay healthy, no reason Kansas can't make a run in the Big 12. All right, we'll do a few more of your guys' bold predictions, then we'll go back to mine, and then we'll come back to this. So D says UCLA goes winless. Probably not too crazy. I mean, I don't know if they'll go winless. I'm sure they play some like G5 schools they can beat in there somewhere. But as far as in the power conference, though, would not be shocked if they go winless. They have a lot of roster turnover. You know, they lost Chip Kelly to Ohio State as their head coach. Their quarterback room pretty much left in the transfer portal. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go winless in the Big Ten. All right, LA says Michigan misses a bowl game. Wow, okay, so that is a bold prediction. I don't know if I see that one happening. As many question marks as Michigan has, their roster is still pretty manageable. Now, I think the biggest question mark is quarterback. Now, the D-line is going to be stout. Donovan Edwards at running back, I think he might even be better than Blake Corum. But if they can figure out the quarterback situation, in particular, if Alex Orji is the guy, we know we can run. You know, I kind of put him in some wildcat packages last year, but if he can throw, and with their schedule, I don't see them missing a ball game. I don't see that happening. All right, so let's go back to mine, then we'll come back to yours in a minute. All right, so first off, I've got an honorable mention here. All right, so this isn't really too bold in my opinion, but looking at the betting odds, apparently it is bold. I've got Oklahoma State winning the Big 12. Now, again, I know it doesn't probably seem that bold to you, and it doesn't to me either. Let me pull up the Big 12 betting odds for you guys real quick. I don't think it's that bold of a prediction in my opinion. Oklahoma State, excuse me. I'm trying to pull up these odds, so I can't talk all of a sudden. But Oklahoma State winning the Big 12 championship, I don't think that's a bold prediction. But judging from the odds here, look at the odds right here. So it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Oklahoma State's in seventh, all right, on the betting odds in the Big 12. I don't see that happening, all right? I see them winning the Big 12 championship this year. They made the Big 12 championship last year. They've got arguably the best running back in the nation coming back. Alan Bowman's back at quarterback. They've got a really good receiver coming back. Also, in addition to that, I mean, Oklahoma and Texas are gone. So why can they not be the next man up in the Big 12? They were kind of spotty last year. You know, like they beat some teams they shouldn't beat. Then they would get the crap beat out of them by some teams they should beat. You know, I think they lost South Alabama by like 30 at home. I don't know how that happens, but Mike Gundy, I think, is probably the best coach in the Big 12. So why not Oklahoma State winning the Big 12? All right, so let's look at yours again, then we'll come back to mine once more. All right, next up on your bowl predictions, Virginia Tech wins the ACC. All right, I think it's definitely possible. They've got a lot of guys coming back from last season. Again, like I said with Miami, the ACC is kind of up for grabs. I mean, I could see anybody winning that, whether it's Miami, NC State, Clemson, Louisville, Florida State, Virginia Tech, SMU. I mean, even who else am I missing? Georgia Tech. I don't think they'll win it, but I mean, that's another team that could win it realistically. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Feel free to answer these questions as well in the comment section while we're moving along. But Virginia Tech, I think realistically could win the ACC. I don't think they're going to, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. They play somebody in the non-con that I actually think is pretty good. I think it's Rutgers off the top of my head. I think Rutgers beat them last year, but I think that'll tell a little bit about how good Virginia Tech's going to be. They do return enough, though, that they should be a competitor in the ACC. All right, next up, Jay says West Virginia plays for the Big 12 championship. All right, so West Virginia got a lot of love in these comments as well. I think they are going to be good this year. All right, you've got Garrett Green back at quarterback. He had a really good season last year. And then in addition to that, I mean, they kind of turned the page last year. Neil Brown was kind of on the hot seat going into the last season, and then they go on a good run last year, and they've got enough coming back. And again, like I said, the Big 12 is pretty wide open in my opinion, so I could definitely see them making a run. All right, Brett Branson says NCAA sure is high on Virginia Tech. Talking about the video game, yeah, I know, man. It seems like a lot of people are, from what I've looked at. A lot of people have said they're their sleeper in the ACC is Virginia Tech. Now, apparently they have a lot of their roster coming back from last season. While we're talking about it, let me pull up their schedule from last season. But apparently, a lot of people are high on them, and I guess NCAA is high on them, but they're also high on Colorado. So I kind of, yeah, little question marks on that. But it looks like, let's look at their schedule last year. So they lost to NC State by 7. I mean, that's not bad by any means. NC State was good. Yeah, I lost to Louisville by 31. Louisville was solid last year, made the ACC championship, but still losing by 31. That's kind of, yeah. Lost to Florida State by 22. Lost to Marshall. Okay, yeah, I don't know. All right, guys, it's looking a little sketchy for me now. I don't know about it. Lost to Purdue. Okay, you've lost me. You had me up until this point, but losses to Purdue and Marshall last season. I know that was last season, but yeah, it's not looking too pretty, guys. I'm sorry. I don't think I agree with you on this one, Jay. I don't see it happening, man. You had me going, but I don't see it happening. All right, let's see. Next up, what we got here. All right, we've got Charlie says Tennessee is going to be the number one defense and top 15 in offense. So Tennessee fans, all right, we talked about them a little earlier. All right, they're really high and mighty. All right. They kicked me out of their chat when I was trying to ask them for some bold predictions. But Tennessee, I mean, I'm not a known Tennessee lover. All right, that's been established. If you watch this channel a lot, I've been called Tennessee hater multiple times, but I've just asked them to prove a little more, But Josh Heupel, I think, is a pretty good head coach. He's done good at Tennessee as of late, and I don't know, jury's out on Nico. How do you say his last name? Iamaleava or whatever. Their new guy at quarterback. Now, I said last year, this is one that let's backtrack a little bit. We'll go back down memory lane. So the whole reason Tennessee fans started hating me, okay, last season I projected them like they were in my preseason top 25. They were like number 20 or something. And I said, I think by the end of the season, Joe Milton should be replaced with Nico, all right, the guy they have starting this year. And Tennessee fans just jumped all over me. Like, no, Joe Milton's got the strongest arm ever. I mean, not arguing that, but I don't care how strong his arm is. Is he a good quarterback? You know what I mean? My arm is weak, but I can at least hit some dots. You know what I mean? So I don't care how strong your arm is. Jamarcus Russell had a strong arm. Can you play football? Are you smart up top? Can you play quarterback, in the college football? That's it. And they jumped down my throat for that, all right, for saying that Nico should be starting over Joe Milton. Truth be told, by the end of the season, they kind of changed it back a little bit, but that kind of can, that causes me a little skepticism when I'm talking about Tennessee. But I think Tennessee's offense is going to be good. Top 15, maybe. I don't know what exactly they were last season, but I definitely see it improving from last year. And Josh Heupel's a pretty good offensive mind. Defensively, number one, that might be stretching a little bit. I don't see that one happening, but I mean, hey, you never know. But no, I don't see that happening. All right, AC says Michigan loses 4 or more games. Man, I'll be honest with you. I think that is probably worst case scenario with Michigan. Looking at their schedule, it's so manageable for them. Now I do play Texas in the non-con. That's going to be tough. We've got another bowl prediction later talking about Michigan losing another game you're probably not thinking of. We'll talk about that when we get there. So is it possible? Yes, but that would, I think, be worst case scenario. That would be Alex Orji absolutely sucking. That would be Sharon Moore, being a flash in the pan last year with beating Ohio State, beating Penn State. They still have Donovan Edwards to lean on. That defensive line is really good regardless of what they lost to the pros. So I don't think they'll lose 4 games, but you never know. All right, STS says Clemson Georgia rematch in the Natty. All right, I like this one. So my last college football playoff predictions, I had both these teams in the college football playoff. They do play in the non-con, which I think is going to tell more about Clemson than it is Georgia. We're going to know pretty quickly, is Clemson legit this year or not? And if they can play with Georgia, heck, even if they can't, sometimes playing a team twice, you never know what you're going to get that second time, unless it's going to be by 50 or something. But if they can keep it fairly close, I don't think that's going to happen. But again, last time I played it out, I had Clemson winning the ACC. I had Georgia winning the SEC. So it's definitely possible because that would both give them buys already, to get out of the quarters to the semis. So it could be possible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but this is not the boldest take on here for sure. I could definitely see this happening. All right, last one on here, then we'll go back to mine again. So Tracy says Miami goes 10-2 and wins the ACC. So We talked about Miami a little bit earlier. I think the ACC's up for grabs, and they've got them going 10-2, so that's realistic. They've got them losing 2 games, maybe not going undefeated. We know Mario Cristobal is not going to take a knee in one game. They should win, and they're going to lose because of that. But can they win the ACC? I think the answer is yes. I don't see it being impossible. They've loaded up that roster. I think it's more talented. This is the most talented team Cristobal has had, in my opinion, whether it's at Oregon or Miami. And looking at their schedule, we'll look at it a little later, but looking at their schedule last year, they were like this close to being double-digit wins anyway. All right, Big Orange says, go Vols. All right, so we're just talking about the Volunteers a little bit, but appreciate you being here, Big Orange. Tennessee getting a lot of love tonight on y'all's bowl predictions. All right, so back to my list real quick. All right, so getting into my actual top 10, we talked about the bowl predictions earlier, honorable mention, but these go from I would say least bold to really bold. So starting off, the least bold bowl prediction on my list, the Big Ten and the SEC make up 75% of the college football playoff field, which is 9 out of 12 teams. So pretty much they're eating up all of the at-large bids is what I'm guessing here. So that would mean, all you have left besides Big Ten and SEC schools in the college football playoff would be the G5 representative, the Big 12, then the ACC. I really hope y'all can't hear this. There is some bug just chirping a storm up right outside my window. If you can hear that, apologies. Sorry. But basically what I have with this is 5 SEC teams going and 4 Big Ten teams going. But what do you guys think? Can this happen? What do you think? 75% of the college football playoff field, Big Ten and SEC. Again, this isn't too bold on the bold scale. And again, on all these bold predictions I put out, first off, I don't necessarily believe they're going to happen. This one I do believe is going to happen, but I don't necessarily believe all of them are going to happen, but there is a realistic chance, I would say, that they are going to happen, because we'll talk about some in a little bit that they kind of contradict what I've said in the past as far as who I have predicted going where. But this one I could definitely see happening easy. Going back to your list real quick, we have Shane. All right, with some more West Virginia love here. West Virginia beats Penn State in Morgantown. All right, so we talked about West Virginia a little bit earlier. Garrett Green is back at quarterback. I think he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation. Penn State, what are they going to look like this year? We're going to talk about them in a little bit as well. Drew Aller back at quarterback. Their defense is stacked. All right, arguably the best defense in the nation, talent-wise, this season. And then in addition to that, they add in some wideouts. They bring in a receiver from Ohio State. That should help them kind of stretch the field a little bit with Drew Aller. James Franklin, gets a lot of hate, but is it justified? Maybe. But at the same time, he has won a lot of ball games. He's lost to Ohio State. He's lost to Michigan. That's about it. I mean, other than that, they really haven't lost to many people. And even Ohio State's been losing to Michigan lately, but this last 3 years, Michigan has been stacked. Let's be honest. I mean, that roster they've had during this run these past few seasons when they made the playoff, it's been stacked. And so I think Penn State, first off, they benefit the most from college football playoff extension. But we'll talk about Penn State later. Back to this bold prediction. Can West Virginia beat Penn State in Morgantown? I think they can. I don't know if they're going to, but I think Penn State's defense is a little too much too early. But I think this is definitely going to be a good game. I can't wait to watch this one. I think West Virginia's offense is explosive enough that they can keep up with Penn State, because Penn State's offense is kind of the question mark with them. We know their defense is good, but how's their offense going to look? Drew Aller kind of a little spotty sometimes, But West Virginia, I think the key here is going to be their defense, because their offense can score, but again, that's power against power there. You've got their explosive offense against Penn State's really good defense. It's probably going to be a stalemate there. So West Virginia's kind of going to have to step up and stop Penn State's offense, get some turnovers probably to be able to win that game. Now, being at home does help. Man, I'm losing my voice here, guys. Sorry. I'm going to try to make it through the stream. All right. Keeping up with y'all's bowl predictions, we have Donnie saying Miami wins the ACC and then loses to Georgia in the college football playoff. So we got a lot of Miami love here. And like I said, there's even more coming. So Miami fans, shout out to you for giving me some responses here. We talked about Miami a little bit earlier. All right, I'm not going to harp on it too much because you already kind of discussed this. But Cam Ward, Martinez at running back, Damian Martinez, Xavier Restrepo back at wideout. They were pretty close last year to being really good anyway. And so I don't see it as being insane that they could win the ACC this year. I think Cam Ward's good enough. I think Mario Cristobal's roster is talented enough, and if they get to the college football playoff and lose to Georgia, I think that's a successful season for Miami. All right, staying with Miami here, Victor. Miami wins the national championship. All right, so he's going even bolder than the last guy. Not only are they winning the ACC and making the college football playoff, they're winning the national championship. That might be a little bit of a stretch because as good as their offense is, sometimes I think it takes a pretty good coach to win the national championship. I might be wrong there. I think you can get there, but winning it, I think, takes a little bit of something as a head coach. And I kind of question Mario Cristobal, especially after that freaking knee. I don't know if this one's going to happen, Victor. I will do one more, then we'll go back to mine. All right, so Jody says the Oregon Ducks are national champions. So we'll talk about Oregon a lot during the stream. All right, they got a lot of love from you guys in the bold predictions, but Oregon, all right, I'm a well-known Oregon skepticist. All right, I'm not the biggest lover of Oregon. I've got them in the college football playoff right now, so that tells you enough that, yeah, they are talented enough that even I'm like, okay, yeah, this roster looks pretty good. They bring Dylan Gabriel in. Some people, including me, have said he might be better than Bo Nix. Like he might be able to put up better offensive stats than Bo Nix. I think that's definitely possible. They have loaded up in the portal with that defense. That defense is freaking stacked in the transfer portal, so that's not insane by any means. They brought in, what's the name, Jabbar Muhammad from Washington at corner. So they've stacked this defense, and they brought in Dylan Gabriel, which we saw what he did at Oklahoma. He's a proven winner. So I don't think this is crazy. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't think it would be the most insane thing. But with that being said, we've got a lot of ups and downs, like a roller coaster when talking about Oregon. We'll look at some comments later. A lot of people think they're going to suck this year. So we'll look at that here in a minute. But getting back to mine real quick. All right, so next on the bowl prediction scale, we have Memphis beats Florida State and makes the college football playoff. So they do play Florida State in week 2. Let me pull up their schedule for you real quick here. All right, so first off, let's look at last season's schedule for Memphis. First off, they've got Seth Hennigan coming back at quarterback. I think he's going to be an All-American type guy this year. And also the American Conference is up for grabs. I mean, SMU is gone to the ACC. Tulane's head coach is gone to Houston. Willie Fritz left. UTSA, another one that's usually good. Their quarterback, Frank Harris, is gone. So the American Conference is Memphis for the taking. And I don't see no reason why they can't take it. But looking at their schedule last year, all right, here you go. All right, so last year, they were actually really pretty decent. I mean, look at this right here. September 23rd, they lost by 7 points to Missouri. All right, and Missouri last year, we saw what they could do. They were capable of playing with even Georgia last year, so that's a really, really impressive loss to me. And they beat Boise State. All right, they lost by 10 to Tulane, but again, I think Tulane's going to take a step back. Lost by 4 to SMU. SMU's gone. All right, they're to the ACC. They beat Iowa State in the bowl game. Now, bowl games, I don't think you can take too much. You can't take too much stock out of bowl games now because nobody plays. But still, they beat Iowa State, which is a pretty solid Big 12 team. But looking at their schedule this year, first off, let's talk about the first part. Can they beat Florida State? I think the answer is yes. Okay, Florida State loses a ton from last year. Are they going to have that hangover from missing out on the college football playoff? Are they going to look like they did in the bowl game against Georgia? We're going to find out. Now, they have changed a bunch of their roster. Jordan Travis is gone, lost a ton to the NFL draft. You got DJ Ugalele coming in at quarterback. I think they are beatable. Memphis, like I said, I think they are stacked. Seth Hennigan, I'm going to pull up his stats for you guys real quick. He had a really impressive year last year. He's in my All-American running case. Pulling up his stats. Here you go. All right, so looking at his stats last year, I didn't realize he was a Texas guy. Looking at his stats last year, almost 4,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So just looking at what he did against some of the tougher competition against the Big 12 Iowa State defense, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. They're going to put up some serious good numbers this year. And I had forgotten this until a lot of people reminded me in the comment section, Memphis fan-wise, that Mike Norvell was the head coach at Memphis before he went to Florida State. So there's a lot of connections there between the coaches. Like their head coach, I think, was a coordinator for Norvell when he was there. So there's going to be some kind of, it's going to be personal, is what I'm getting at. Not in a bad way, but it's like, yeah, I want to be my friend, you know? So I think Memphis does beat Florida State. Then on the second part, can they beat Florida State and then make the playoff? Yes. And earlier, I think I said he said that. I said that. I forgot. That's my bold prediction. I'm already getting mixed up. But who's their toughest competition here? Troy is going to take a step back. Their head coach, John Summerall, went to Tulane. So they're going to take a step back. South Florida is probably your toughest competition here. They've got a lot coming back, so that's going to be a game to watch. And then you've got, let's see, UTSA, they'll beat them. Then Tulane, that's the other big one. So I think really, first off, I don't think the first part of this bowl prediction has to be true for them to make the playoff. I think they can frankly lose to Florida State and still make the playoff. Because, I mean, other G5 schools in the running, we got Boise State, which as much love as Boise State gets, I mean, they still lost like 6 games last year. So it's going to be a stretch if they can somehow make it. Then other teams, I mean, Liberty, I think Liberty losing last year is probably going to hurt their chances. I mean, they went undefeated last year and kind of got stomped by Oregon. So I kind of think that's going to hurt their chances in the long run. And then other than that, I mean, Texas State will probably go undefeated. Appalachian State's another team to watch out for. So I think Memphis definitely is the G5 representative, and I think they can make some noise in the college football playoff. I don't know if they can. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship or anything, but if they can play with Florida State and keep it close, they can play with a lot of teams in the country. All right, let's see. Moving back to your list here. All right, Festus says if Miami does not win big, the fan base goes into meltdown mode. Mario Cristobal is gone. That's all right. So I really don't know how much of an overreaction that is because I know Mario Cristobal. I won't say his seat is hot, but I know a lot of fans are frustrated with kind of just some things he's done in the past. Speaking about that kneel down and then just some other stuff that's kind of been questionable. Some other questionable in-game situation stuff. Excuse me. But I don't know if I'd go that far. Now, if they don't win big, because I know their expectations are high this year, I can see the fan base melting down, but I don't see Mario Cristobal probably getting fired. But, I mean, who knows? All right, so more Miami love here. Mr. D. Nice name. All right. Mr. D says Cam Ward wins the Heisman. So is that possible? I think so. So you backtrack a couple years ago, Tyler Van Dyke in this Miami offense. I know it's a little different, but still, Tyler Van Dyke in this Miami offense was kind of a first-round pick, buzz kind of guy back in the day. Now, that obviously trailed off once he kind of had some injuries and stuff, but I could see Cam Ward putting up some serious numbers in this Miami offense. He's going to have more weapons here than he had at Washington State. He's going to be able to run the ball, which we already know he can do that. He's going to have Xavier Restrepo out wide. He can throw it to Damian Martinez, going to be able to hand it off to him, kind of get some weight off of his back at quarterback. So I definitely could see this one happen. All right, Big says Tennessee wins the SEC. So originally I was kind of against this, and I still don't think it will happen, but looking at their schedule and really, I don't know, Tennessee's kind of growing on me this year. I don't know if they're quite going to be as good as I'm kind of envisioning, but they are growing on me. I think it's definitely possible that they could somehow, make the college football playoff, win the SEC. It's not going to be easy, but it's definitely somewhat attainable. If Nico can really hit at quarterback, I think the SEC is sort of up for grabs this year. Alabama, they've got the coaching change. Georgia loses a ton from their roster. Texas loses a ton from their roster. LSU loses a ton from their roster. Ole Miss and Missouri don't, but that's kind of your competition there. It's probably those teams right there. So I don't see it happening, but it's not just the craziest thing. All right, JL. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. So Fresno State beats Michigan in the opener and wins 9 games. So Fresno State, if you don't know, has been pretty good over the last few seasons. I think they beat 2 Power 5 conference schools last season. They've got a quarterback by the name of Mikey Keene. He's really good, puts up some really good numbers. And can they beat Michigan? We talked about Michigan a little bit earlier. If Alex Orji does not hit, then Michigan might be in trouble because they're just going to have to rely on Donovan Edwards. And as much as J.J. McCarthy kind of gets crapped on, when it counted, he could pull off the game he could make the throws he needed to make. So if Alex Orji can't do those simple things, Michigan might be in trouble. Now, can Fresno State beat them? That might be a stretch, but I definitely can see them winning 9 games in their conference. It's definitely not out of their own possibility. All right, so we'll get 2 more of your guys, and then we'll go back to mine. All right, Big Blue says Michigan wins it all again. All right, so Michigan is kind of another one that's been all over the place on y'all's predictions. So, got some people saying they're going to win the college football playoff. Some people are saying they're going to lose to Fresno State. Again, I don't think this is the most insane theory or most insane prediction. Donovan Edwards is going to be really good again. That defense is going to be really good again. But can Alex Orji hit? If he can make the throws necessary, Michigan has a chance to make the college football playoff again. If not, they're going to be in trouble. All right, then we got GA. He says Bama only wins 7 games. So their schedule actually is pretty tough. Them and Georgia have really tough schedules this year. I think they'll win more than 7 games, but I do question, and I'm a big fan of Jalen Milroe. I think he's really impressive, but I do question how is Kalen DeBoer's offense going to mesh with Jalen Milroe. And if it doesn't fit, if they have issues again, like at the beginning, sorry, one of these comments made me laugh. I'll pull it up here in a second. If, they have issues, I can't get my mind back on track after this comment. I'll pull it up for y'all while I'm thinking of this. If Kalen DeBoer and Jalen Milroe don't mesh, they might have some problems with that tough of a schedule. Magic Man, that is what I said. Yeah, he that's his name, man. It's the quarterback's name for Michigan. All right, so moving, I have to pull that off so I can focus back up. All right, my next bowl prediction here. All right, so my bowl prediction, speaking of Michigan, the loser of Texas versus Michigan misses the college football playoff. So I know in the grand scheme of things right now, it doesn't seem like this game is going to mean that much. With 12 teams making the playoff, you can lose 2 games and still make it. But with the way these 2 teams' schedule play out, I think the loser of this game is going to have 3 losses. The winner is probably going to have 2. So if one of these teams has 3 losses, they're going to be in serious trouble. They're going to be in serious trouble for making the college football playoff unless they can somehow sneak into their championship. Texas, for example, I'll talk about them a little more in a little bit, but let's pull up Michigan's schedule real quick for you guys. If they lose this game, and this is a big game, like we're going to be able to tell a lot about these teams pretty quick, what they're made of. Michigan loses a lot. Texas loses a lot. We're going to be able to tell a lot pretty quick. Now, if they somehow lose to Fresno State, which that guy just touched on, I don't think that'll happen. But realistically losing, you got USC on here. They could somehow lose to them. You've got Oregon. You've got Ohio State. So right now I've got them losing to Texas, Oregon, or USC, and Ohio State. So if they lose those 3 games, they're probably not getting in the college football playoff. And then on the other hand, if Texas loses that one, if they lose that one to Michigan, then they lose to, let's say, Georgia, and then they lose to, Oklahoma or A&M, they're going to be in trouble in making the college football playoff. But again, I think this game in the grand scheme of things is going to end up meaning a ton for these teams' college football playoff expectations. General Booty and Orgy for the Tutty. General Booty, where do you transfer to? I remember that name now. Do you go to Oklahoma? The name sounds very familiar. Oh, he played for TJC, didn't he? General Booty? Good name. Good tweet. Good tweet. All right, so getting back to your guys' comments. All right. Joe says Penn State will win the national championship. Speaking of Joe, I was just watching Impractical Jokers before we started up this live stream. Larry. Guys, I'm going to have to reload my water here in a second. I'm getting empty. All right. Joe says Penn State will win the national championship. Penn State, I don't think this is insane. Drew Aller, James Franklin, I know they both get a bunch of crap, but their schedule is manageable enough. Their defense is stacked enough. I think they could definitely make a run at the national championship this year. I know that sounds insane right now to think about because generally speaking, lately they haven't been able to do this. But I talk about this in other videos before that if, you backtrack a couple years ago, back track to that year, Ohio State and Michigan made the college football playoff when 4 teams can make it. Penn State was probably the 5th best team in the country, and they're going to benefit the most from college football playoff expansion, and I think they're even better this year than they have been. I think this is the best team Penn State's had in the last 10 years. I don't know if they can win the national championship, but they're definitely making the college football playoff. And I think, honestly, could make the Big Ten championship. Wouldn't be a shocker there. All right, moving down. Jared says Michigan wins it all. So Michigan getting a lot of love here. Again, definitely possible if Alex Orji can hit. I think the rest of that team is good enough, but they're going to have to find some weapons out wide and find the quarterback situation because they've got the running back and defense. Brian, Michigan goes undefeated and makes a natty appearance. So some more Michigan love here once again. I don't know if they go undefeated, but their schedule is manageable enough to where it could happen. Now, we'll find out against Texas, like I said, just how good they are pretty quickly. But could they make another natty appearance? It's possible. But I've got a lot of question marks. Sharon Moore, Alex Orji, wide receiver. Ooh, that's a weird name right here. F. Who? Was that Austin Powers? Fook me. That was fast. But Ohio State wins the title, he says. So is that is that possible? Yes. All right. As of right now, they are my favorite to win the college football playoff. Actually, this roster is absolutely stacked. Number one, all right, they've got sorry, these comments are cracking me up. Number one, all right, they've got Travion Henderson back at running back. They've got Quinshon Judkins coming in at running back as well. That's going to be a nasty duo in the backfield. You've got Caleb Downs coming in on defense to kind of be the quarterback of that defense. Their D-line is going to be nasty. Quarterback, Will Howard. They've also got Emeka Ibuka back, Ryan Day. Is this a year they finally get over the hump? Yeah, we'll see. Harry Leggy says, sorry if I said your last name wrong, by the way, man. Harry says, lots of false hope I'm seeing. I would agree here. All right, so these are my bold predictions on this doc right now. This is everybody's comments they shot in before the video today. Definitely a lot of false hope. So I looked at some follow-up comments on these when these guys commented on it. Like, for example, Penn State and Miami, a lot of people put, like, they would put their prediction for them winning the championship, then they put, like, the next comment was like, hopefully. And then the person after that was like, come on now. He said, what is going to, or what do you think? What's a bold prediction? Not something that's definitely going to happen. So a lot of people got some hope out there. In particular, we've got, let's see, Michigan's got a lot of hope apparently, which is understandable. They won the ship last year. Oregon's got a lot of hope. That's always, they're always the offseason winner. Miami fans, they have a lot of hope. All right, so let's look at a few more of your guys. We'll look at one more page, then we'll go to mine. Bill says all of the former Pac-12 teams have good seasons. So how insane is that? Let's think about it here. Oregon, they could have a good season. That's no doubt. That's probably going to happen. I think USC is going to be pretty good. That's probably going to happen as well. Let's see. UCLA, they're probably not going to be very good. So let's be honest right there. Washington, they're going to take a big step back. They lose a ton from that roster. Then we've got, let's see, in the Big 12, you got Arizona State. They're probably not going to be good. Colorado, we know people love to give them some love. But realistically, are they going to be very good? I don't know. Utah, I think they could make the Big 12 championship. Who am I leaving out here? Who's the other team in the Pac-12 that went to the Big 12? Am I missing somebody? Utah, Arizona State, Colorado. Somebody help me out in the comment section. What's the Pac-12 team going to the Big 12 that I'm missing? Isn't there 4 of them? Who is that? I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's going to bother me. So Utah, Arizona State, and Colorado. Who's the 4th team? Is there a 4th team? I'm tripping. I don't know. Arizona. Thank you, Brett Branson. I'm freaking losing my freaking mind over here. They're going to be good. All right. They should have a chance to win the Big 12, I think. Now, will they win the Big 12? That I don't know. But so I think you're about half and half here, Bill. Oregon State and Washington State, I guess we'll talk about them too. They're both probably going to be pretty bad. But, you got about half and half here. I think Oregon will be good. USC will be good. I don't think Washington will be very good. So Oregon, USC, Utah, Arizona. So 4 out of 12. Hey, that's not terrible. All right. Soul says UCLA is going to shock the Big Ten. I predict 8 wins. All right, so that is a bold prediction right there. So I don't know. I've got some question marks on UCLA. I'm not hugely knowledgeable on UCLA, so why do you think they can win 8 wins? Be honest with me. I'm not trying to call you out or anything. I just got a serious question. Like, what are your reasons for optimism there? Because I know they lose a lot, like quarterback room in particular in the transfer portal. They lose Chip Kelly, so I don't know. They got some question marks for sure. Nebraska Jack says GBR. GBR. I'm not really sure what that one means, man, but that might be a Cornhusker thing. I don't know. Let me know what it means down in the comment section. UC a losing record. UC talking about USC or UC California? Oh, California. There we go. California and Stanford. I left them off, didn't I? No, these aren't my questions, man. These aren't my questions right now. I asked in Bleacher Report, I asked on Twitter, I asked in the community, what are your bold predictions for the season? These aren't my bold predictions, man. The only ones that are my bold predictions are the ones that got the graphic on it. Yeah, I completely forgot about Stanford and Cal. I think Stanford will be bad. I think Cal's got a chance to do okay in the ACC, though. I'll do one more, then go back to mine. Jay says, Oregon Natty, baby. Oregon getting a lot of love in here once again, and that's an offseason regular. Brett Branson knows this, I think. He commented about Arizona a second ago. He knows all about the Oregon love. He knows all about my love for Oregon. How every season I say Oregon fans need to pump the brakes just a little bit. I'm probably going to say that again. Now, this is the highest I've been on Oregon before. Again, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I have them going to the college football playoff. That's a rarity for me. I would never say that probably, but I think this team's too talented to ignore. All right, so we're going to do one more of my bold predictions. Then I'm going to go take a quick piss. Then I'll be back. All right. All right, so back to my bold predictions. All right, so Magic Man, these are my bold predictions, by the way. So when you see this graphic, you know what I'm talking. When you see the Google Doc, I'm not talking. All right, so I agree with a lot of these fans. All right, Miami is going to win the ACC this year. Before you go insane, let me pull up the transfer portal for you. We'll look at their schedule. We'll discuss a little more. All right, so pulling up their schedule real quick for you. All right, so Mario Cristobal, we know he gets a lot of hate. All right, we know he's done some questionable things before. I would pull up the nil for you because I'm going to keep harping on that because that's the most insane thing I've ever seen as a coach. I would pull that up, but I want to get demonetized here. So looking at their schedule, is it manageable enough? Is the ACC manageable enough? I think the answer is yes there, number one. Now, looking at it, Florida, I think that's going to be a better game than people are saying. Now, will they be able to make it through that undefeated? I don't know. But again, with the ACC, like some people have said, I think they could lose 1 or 2 games and still win the ACC without a problem. So look at their schedule. Tough game-wise, you got Florida. They can win that one, though. South Florida, they can win that one. Virginia Tech, they can win that one. Louisville, I think that one's winnable. Florida State, I think that one's winnable as well. So they avoid, in my opinion, the 2 best teams, which are NC State and Clemson in the ACC, which means you can get to the ACC championship. Both those teams are going to be beat up. Clemson plays a brutal schedule, so Clemson's going to be beat up if that's who they play. And looking at their schedule last year, all right, so I told you they were pretty close to being really good, so lost by 7 to Louisville, lost by 7 to Florida State. Both those teams made the ACC championship. Excuse me. Lost by 2 touchdowns at NC State, beat Clemson in overtime. Lost by 3 to Georgia Tech. We know the situation with that one. Lost by 10 to Miami. That's really your only bad loss there is North Carolina. That Georgia Tech loss is bad, yes, but that, again, is the nil-down one. And then looking at the transfer portal here, get that ad off here. Tyler Barron coming in from Louisville, well, from Tennessee, really. Arguably one of the best defensive ends in the country. Tyler Barron is a beast. Then a linebacker. You got another guy coming in from Louisville, but the main one we're going to talk about here, Damian Martinez, obviously, Cam Ward at quarterback. So those 2, in my opinion, as well as Tyler Barron, are enough to get this team over the hump. Cam Ward, we know what kind of numbers he can put up. All right, let me actually pull these up for you because I want to just show you how good Cam Ward really is. All right, so last year, all right, almost 4,000 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, as well as 8 touchdowns on the ground. So that's over 30 touchdowns total. Miami's going to be special this year. All right, this is, in my opinion, Mario Cristobal's best team he has had. Like I said, whether it's at Oregon, whether it's at Miami, but either way, I think Miami has a chance to win the ACC. It's going to be them, NC State, or Clemson, and they avoid both those teams. So those teams I think are going to have losses, and Miami is going to make it through it unscathed, possibly undefeated. All right, guys, I will be right back. I'm going to go pee. Don't go anywhere. It'll take about a second. All I got to do is pee and wash my hands. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. I've been putting the work on water today, man. I've been struggling. Let's see. At least you wash his hands. Been finding diarrhea all day today, man. I've been putting in the work on this water. No, I'm putting the work here, man. Was it on I think Magic Man knows what I'm talking about. Is it the other guys? And he's like, "Holy hell!" Like that's what I've been going through today, man. It's been a rough one. Okay, I was a little worried I was gonna make the stream time in because I had to. Yeah, but I had some issues today. I know it's a little TMI for some of you guys, but I'm sorry. We're all friends here. It's okay. I also had to fill up my coffee. It's okay. Also, if you're interested, check this out. All right, some AG merch. All right, you can go buy some of this in the shop. Go check it out. Not pressuring you by any means. It's not pretty. They're pretty cheap though. I mean, it's pretty good. Pretty good quality right here, man. You know, no pressure. All right, back to the bowl predictions. Where were we? First off, I got to check out these comments that I missed while I was gone. Brett Branson says, "I wondered when he was going to pee. I swear we saw him drink at least 2 gallons of water on the stream alone." Well, and we're not done yet. You know, my voice is leaving here. Oh man. Harry says Taco Bell revenge. Yeah. Those bean burritos be fighting for my life, you know. It's a struggle, you know. I'm trying to think of the movie. Was it Bridesmaids? She like takes a dump in the sink. Like it's where I've been a little bit today. All right, we're going off the rails here. What time? This is some 2 a.m. conversation. All right, sorry guys. I got some guys leaving now. We gotta go back to bowl predictions. All right, so back to your guys' bowl predictions real quick. Dave says Ducks national champions. All right, so he's talking about the Oregon Ducks here. Again, Oregon getting a lot of love here. The people that are here watching right now, though, do me a favor right now. What do you think? Can Oregon, first off, going to make the college football playoff? Second off, what do you think? National champs, yes or no? I'm going to say no. All right, I think they can make the college football playoff. We've established that they have a favorable enough schedule that it's going to have. They're probably going to lose to Ohio State only, probably. Now, some people have said they're going to lose to Boise State. I don't see that happening personally, but I think this roster is pretty stacked. All right, I think this is Dan Lanning's best team he's had. I'm not the biggest Dan Lanning lover or believer, but I think this team definitely can make the playoff. National champions, though, I think might be a little bit of a stretch. All right. Oh, this is a long one. Okay. That's what she said. Okay. This one, all right, this is courtesy of Scotty. All right, Scotty says Memphis goes 15 wins before losing to Ohio State in the semis. 12-0 regular season. They thrashed Tulane in the conference championship, putting them at 13-0. They beat Texas in the 5-12 matchup. All right, this is a crazy parlay right here. Holy crap. They beat Texas in the 5-12 matchup. They beat Kansas State in the quarterfinals. That puts them at 15-0. They are overpowered by Ohio State or Georgia, and they lose that one. So they go 15 wins. If they get to 15-0, That's freaking insane right there. So if Memphis can get 50-0 and then lose to Ohio State or Georgia, I think that's a pretty good season right there. I would take that as a Memphis fan. Heck, as a college football fan, I would take that one. Seeing a little Cinderella-ish, in the new playoff, I would take it. But good question, Scotty. I like it. All right, Nate says, in a true welcome to the Big Ten and the SEC, both Oregon and Texas turn out to be non-factors after losing 3 games each. Not insane, okay? I would not be surprised if some stuff like this happens. I think, first off, Texas losing 3 games is not out of their own possibility, and that's coming from a Texas fan. I think that's definitely possible. And then Oregon, I'm a known Oregon skeptic, like I've said. I think they're going to be a little factor this year in the Big Ten, but again, that week in and week out grind is different than running through the Pac-12. You know what I mean? Let's see. We got some comments here. Let's see. Nathan says Big Ten is going to be the toughest conference this season easily. I think Big Ten is going to be tough. I think that conference might potentially be a little stacked. I mean, let's run it down a little bit. You've got Ohio State, obviously. You got Oregon, we've talked about. Penn State, Michigan. Iowa's always got a pretty good defense. That offense should be better. USC is going to be good. I think we know if you watch this channel, I'm a big fan of Rutgers. There's some other teams that are kind of at the low end that I think are pretty good as well. We'll talk about them in a minute. See 3-4 Big Ten teams. So yes, now it depends on the draw. All right, talking about Oregon. Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's going to depend on, because once you get the college football playoff, you don't really know who we're going to play. So it could go anyway. All right, Brett says OSU, Michigan, and Washington are the only regular season challenges. Oregon can win it. I agree. Depends on the draw. So yeah, y'all are on the same page there as well. Yeah, because again, I think even Washington, now they have had Oregon's number, but that's kind of been Kalen DeBoer, and they take such a step back roster-wise. I don't know if I can see it happening. All right, before we get to the next one, Fred Wood says incoming number 1 perfect season, locating geographical location and transit. Damn, Verizon. NC State, perfect season. Okay, I'm pretty high on NC State this year, actually. I think, first off, Dave Doran doesn't get enough love as a head coach. I think he's fairly underrated. He wins a lot at NC State. He's not winning a national championship every year, but I think I've said this with a lot of teams. I think this is the most talented team he's had at NC State. He brings in Grayson McCall from quarterback. He won at Coastal Carolina a bunch. It's crazy how long Grayson McCall's been in college, actually, number 1. You think back to, I think it was during COVID when Coastal Carolina and BYU played like that. Both of their teams canceled on them that week, so they just scheduled hey, let's just play in the middle of the week because we're both undefeated right now. That was awesome. Harry says, look at recent list. I agree. I know the SEC gets a lot of crap from, I think the lower teams get a little overhyped in the polls, but the upper teams, talking about, not Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, I think that's justified. Nathan, it doesn't matter, though. West Virginia's going to go off this year. Everybody's sleeping on West Virginia, but they're going to show them how it's done. So, yeah, at the beginning of the stream, West Virginia was getting a lot of love, actually. They were actually getting love for this particular comment. There was a lot of people saying West Virginia is going to be really good, make the Big 12 championship. They're also going to beat Penn State. I think that can be Penn State. I would not be shocked. Garrett Green's a legit one. He's a real one. All right, Drew says Rutgers gets the 9 wins. So this is not the most insane thing. I know it might sound pretty crazy. But again, if you watch this channel pretty frequently, I'm a big fan of Rutgers. Not actually a fan. I'm not a fan of them, but I'm a fan of this roster they have this year. They've got the number 1 Big Ten rusher coming back, Kyle Monunga. Led the Big Ten in rushing last season. First off, transfer portal they put together is pretty solid. Greg Schiano's put together a good roster. Number 2, look at their schedule. Do me a favor right now. Go Google. Actually, I'll just pull it up for you. Let's look at Rutgers' schedule. This schedule, there's no reason Rutgers can't go undefeated with this schedule. All right, Howard, Akron, that's a win. Virginia Tech, I would say Virginia Tech's going to be really tough, but they beat Virginia Tech last year pretty handily, 35-16. So, I know it sounds crazy saying Rutgers could go undefeated, but it's possible. I mean, at most, you're probably losing 2 games here. and that's probably Wisconsin and USC. Maybe you could throw in Nebraska there. I think Washington's going to take a step back roster wise, so I think that's a win. But I think their toughest games are right here: Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC. If they can make it through those games, I think they might have a chance here. And spoiler alert: once we get to my bowl predictions again a little bit later, we're going to talk a little more about Rutgers for good reason. So let's get back to y'all's bowl predictions. Then we'll look at one more page. Then we'll look at mine. All right, Travis says Georgia, aka Cupcake U loses multiple games. So these are direct quotes, by the way. I didn't adjust these. Travis, number one, obviously doesn't like Georgia. I believe this came from an Alabama fan, if I can remember correctly. He's got them losing multiple games. So Georgia's schedule is really freaking tough. Okay, and not only do they have to go through a tough SEC schedule, they play away at the number 2, 3, and 4 SEC teams in my rankings. They play at Ole Miss, they play at Texas, they play at Alabama. They also play Clemson. All right, so that schedule is brutal. I could definitely see them losing multiple games. I don't know if I'm going to call them Cupcake U. Now, I did think that was that last year that they didn't really play anybody. I think that might have been last year, but I like the way you said Georgia, though. All right, Bruce, we've got Michigan coming back down to earth. Michigan loses at least 3 games. So, again, like I said at the beginning of the stream, a lot of that's going to depend on quarterback and receiver and head coach. Okay, we know Sharon Moore in interim duty, spot duty, beat Ohio State and Penn State, but also it's different, coming in and playing or coming in and coaching instead of, having a full offseason to yourself, setting the standard as the program. But they've got Donovan Edwards back. That defense is stacked. They've got a really good tight end. They're going to have a good O-line. But again, quarterback and receiver is the key for Michigan. All right. Nathan says, I can see Rutgers going 8-4, 9-3, or 10-2. Wouldn't be crazy. With that schedule, and again, they weren't bad last year, beat Virginia Tech like we talked about. So definitely not just an insane thing. Who were they supposed to play at home? I can't remember. I can't remember. Okay, never mind. That's the answer right there. Georgia. I got you. Nathan says, how do you think the Horns down Texas is going to do in the SEC this year? I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on them, man. I've gone back and forth. Like at certain points, I've had them as number 2 in the SEC. Their schedule is really favorable, though, so I think they can definitely make the college football playoff again. I'm not the biggest Steve Sarkisian believer. I realize they made the college football playoff this year, or last season, but they should have blown a lot of teams out where they let them just slowly creep back in because of the way they've called that second half. Like his first half, I'm assuming when he's going off script, his offense coordinator is usually really good. I don't think Magic Man's still in the chat, but he usually loves to hate on Steve Sarkisian. If they would, stick to the game plan, it seems like they completely change and just go like trying to run out the clock in the second half, like you would, like a basketball team would. I think it was Kansas State, like they let them creep back in. Houston, they let them creep back in. So it's definitely a possibility for them to be good because Quinn Ewers is good enough. I think that offensive line is good enough. But there it is. That offensive line is good enough, but they lose all of their wideouts. They lose their tight ends. I know they've got some good wideouts coming in through the transfer portal, but their running backs are gone. Their secondary alone is questionable as well. That secondary got worked last year. I mean, think back to them against Washington. That secondary got destroyed. All right, that defense got worn out. Now, the main reason for that was their 2 D tackles, Sweat and Murphy. And I was a big Sweat fan, but him pass rushing Michael Penix Jr., that's stupid. Because I know the secondary was sketchy, as Harry Leak said, as he says. Okay. Harry, let me know how to pronounce your last name, by the way, man. I don't want to keep butchering it. I feel bad if I'm saying it wrong. So the way their secondary looked at times, I think, was in part due to their pass rush. Like, yeah, they're getting torched down the field, but if you're having to cover for over 10 seconds, that's not going to happen. Leg, okay, perfect. Harry Leg, I remember that one. Magic Man says it's play action within the 5-yard line, all 4 downs. We talking about Steve Sarkisian here? Definitely. So, I mean, think about, was that when Quinn Ewers got hurt? Yeah, I mean, Quinn Ewers freaking play action. We'll go through it right here since y'all are watching. I mean, Where's my football? Let's go through it. All right, so play action, So play action. I'm going to act like I'm getting hit. I'm just going to get drilled in the back. Knock out Quinn Ewers for the season. I mean, what are we doing, Steve? Get off your knees, Steve. You're blowing the game. And what are we doing? I mean, his play calling is a little skeptical at best. I mean, I realize they made the playoff last year, so I can't gripe about too much. But, I mean, like I said, I am a Texas fan personally. I think my Texas ball is hidden somewhere. There's a – yep. I mean, I'm a proven Texas fan, okay? But I live in Texas. I'm a Texas fan. But they made the playoff. I'm happy about that. But, again, it's like we're this close. I think back about that Washington game. It's like we played like crap, yet you were this close to making the playoff. But again, I think it was Houston. I think it was Kansas State. Like they almost blew those games. All right, Nathan. I go to Marshall University. I'm hoping we get in a bowl game and actually win this year, but I doubt it, to be honest. So I think Marshall actually can be pretty good in their conference. Like their conference, I looked at it. That was my last live stream. I did the top 5 teams in every conference. Marshall was in there for me. They've got a little reason for optimism. What do you think of y'all's coach, Charles Huff? Because I always see his name mentioned in job searches. I don't know if that's just because, he applies for all of them or what, because I know Marshall's never that good, to where he should be getting love for the jobs he's applying for. But whenever a Power 5 job opens, whenever a Power 5 job opens, he's usually, in the running for it. All right, are we on the last one of this one? All right, let's go back to mine real quick. All right, so back to my bowl predictions. Next up, we have Oklahoma finishes the season 500. All right, so let's look at Oklahoma's schedule. All right, I'll explain this one a little bit. First off, all right, they lost Dylan Gabriel, number 1. All right, and Dylan Gabriel was really good last season. They've got Jackson Arnold as the quarterback now. All right. Brent Venables, they just gave him the extension. I don't know why they gave him that extension without seeing what he could do in the SEC, but I don't know. What do I know? So I'm a little skeptical on him, first off, on the head coaching side of things. All right, without Brent Venables, they've been a little iffy. All right, I mean, not without Brent Venables, without Dylan Gabriel, excuse me. They've been a little iffy with Brent Venables without Dylan Gabriel. And what's Jackson Arnold going to be? I know somebody in the comment section earlier is a big fan of Jackson Arnold, so we're kind of the opposite end of the spectrum here. I'm a little questionable on him, and I'm a little questionable on Brent Venables as the head coach as well. And I don't know. Their schedule, let's look at it real quick. So why do I think they can go 500? That would be, 6-6? Temple, that'll be a win, no problem. Houston, they should beat Houston. Houston's been down. Trying to count the losses here, make sure I added, if I can remember who I got them losing to. Okay. I think I had them beating Tulane. All right, so Tulane, again, like I said, is going to take a step back. I think Willie Fritz is gone, their head coach. He went to Houston. So I think Tulane's a beatable team, even though they should be pretty good. Let's see. Tennessee, I've got them losing that one. Did I have them losing to Auburn? Trying to add these up. No, okay. I got them beating Auburn. All right, so I got you got them losing anything crazy. All right, so beating Auburn. All right, losing to Texas. All right, they beat Texas last year, but again, that was with Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel looked pretty good. So that's 2 losses right there. Ole Miss, I think they lose that one. I think they beat South Carolina. So I put you at 3 losses. They beat Maine, lose to Missouri, lose to Alabama, lose to LSU. So that's 6 losses right there. I realize it sounds crazy, but looking at this side right here, and then Alabama, are those looking at this left side in Alabama? That's not the craziest thing, you know what I mean, for them to go 500. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it's definitely something that could happen. Is it the most likely thing to happen? No, but it's definitely not crazy. Okay, I know a lot of people have them in their top 15, top 25. I don't. I'm a little skeptical on them, like I said. Let's see, again, freshmen, I can get behind on you in pressure games. I got you. Oh, man. All right, let's see. All you lose is Jordan Hare. The curse claims another. All right, so again, like I said, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I've seen Oklahoma, like some people even said, like I said, top 15. I put out a poll in the community recently. Will they make the college football playoff? It was a majority no. So not too many people are buying the hype, but there is a lot of people buying the hype. All right, so let's get back to your questions real quick. All right, we'll start with the one from Milt. But first off, we've got a comment here I want to look at. All right, Nathan says, oh, my bad. All right, talking about Charles Huff. I like him. He's really loyal with Marshall. All right, well, that's good then if he's doing the right things. Yeah, I didn't know because, like I said, I just always see his name thrown around, and like when I'll do job candidate list for jobs that come open, his name always gets mentioned. So I never really know. Okay, I didn't know that actually. That their starting quarterback this year is Chad Pennington Stone. Crazy how much time flies, man. It's freaking insane. Missouri could be a big sleeper as well. I agree. We'll be talking about them a little bit on my bowl predictions. All right, so getting back to y'all's bowl predictions, Milt says Michigan gets the death penalty. All right, so he's talking about all this crap they've had going on these past couple of years, uh, as far as the Spygate crap, to where they had the guy on the sideline for another team trying to get their signals, all that stuff. I don't know if they'll get the death penalty. I feel like that already would have happened. It was just weird to me, like they suspend Harbaugh at the beginning of the season, suspend him at the end of the season. But hey, it's okay. You can come back to the college football playoff. It's okay. I don't think they'll get the death penalty. I think they would have gave it to him last year if it was going to happen. And again, I don't think the death penalty will probably ever happen again unless the way college football is right now. I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want and get away with it. The only reason they did the death penalty to SMU originally was because SMU beat Texas, and like they were beating the teams they shouldn't beat. Like, wait a second, we got something going on here. They're stealing recruits from A&M. They're beating Texas. We've got an issue here. All right, next up, Big says Kyron Lacey wins the Biletnikoff Award. So Kyron Lacey, all right, receiver for LSU, all right, wins the receiver award for best receiver. Now, this is the one coming over from Liberty, I believe, at receiver. He put up really good numbers last year with Caden Salter at quarterback. So Garrett Nussmeier is what this is going to come down to. We know their offense puts up big numbers. Daniels has done it. Malik Neighbors has done it. But if Garrett Nussmeier, and he's looked good in all spot duty from what I've been told and what I've seen. So I could see this happening. Now, I think LSU is getting a little overhyped from a lot of stuff I've seen. I think they're going to be good, but at the same time, they lost so much to the NFL draft, and we saw how good they were last year. Even though they had all that NFL talent, they still couldn't get to the playoffs. So with losing all that, I don't know if it's going to happen. All right, Nathan, I think we're talking about Michigan here probably. I can see them getting a decent bowl game, but they won't be as dominant as they were last season. Yeah, I would agree on that one. I think they're going to be pretty solid, but that dominant, probably not. All right, Kevin. All right, Michigan and Ohio State make the college football playoff semifinal, but both of them lose. All right, so this is not out of their own possibility. Like I said at the beginning of this video, Michigan is just on a roller coaster with these comments. All right, and Ohio State, I think, can definitely make the college football playoff. Michigan, if Alex Orji hits a quarterback, they're going to be good. So he's got them getting to the Final Four, basically, but losing to somebody. Not out of their own possibility. I could see this happening. So definitely could see that one. Kevin, no non-Big Ten or SEC school makes the college football playoff final for the next 3 years. So with that being said, wait, is this Kevin? Is that right? Okay, so he did a double comment here. All right, so that means he's got basically Ohio State and Michigan losing to SEC schools probably, which means he has an all-SEC championship this year. This is believable. This is actually believable because I know the Big Ten and SEC have kind of separated themselves as the conferences, and with how it is this year, I mean, you're talking about the best teams in the ACC. You're arguing Florida State, Clemson, Miami, NC State, those type of teams, Louisville. Then the Big 12, Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Kansas, West Virginia. So can those teams beat the SEC and Big Ten schools? I really don't know if they can. Now one game you can do anything. You can beat anybody. But I don't know because those Big Ten, you go to Big Ten schools, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, those teams are stacked. All right. Then SEC-wise, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, heck, even, Washington is in the Big Ten too. So, yeah. All right, Harry Legg says, Nuss got to prove himself under pressure. LSU lost a lot. Yeah, they lost a ton from that roster last year. And the jury's out on Nussmeier. We talked about similar to Sharon Moore. Like you can do anything in one game, or a couple games, but when you have week in and week out all season, you're taking a beating. It's a lot different than coming in spot duty in a game or two and just going off. Got about 12 team expansion this year. Yeah, so originally I was against it. And I'll be honest with you, I thought I was going to water down the sport, but it does make it a little more interesting once it comes to playoff time because you're going to get a lot more matchups. You're going to get this week is this game, this week is this game. It's going to be entertaining. All right, let's get back to my predictions real quick. All right, next up, and again, I said that we are going to get bolder and bolder as we go. So let me get a drink real quick before we get super bold. Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan all missed the Big Ten championship. So I won't give you a spoiler because I'm going to talk about that in a second as far as who's going to make the Big Ten championship. But Oregon, Penn State, Michigan missed the Big Ten championship. The reason I can think this can happen, there are a couple teams that do not play any of the teams on this list, okay, or even Ohio State. So those teams can go undefeated. And if all these teams, let's say all these teams lose to either each other or lose to Ohio State, look at all their schedules here in a minute. But excuse me. If all these teams lose to Ohio State, those teams that don't play these teams go undefeated. They beat the Nebraskas, the USCs, the Iowas, the Rutgers. If they can beat those teams, the other teams I'm going to talk about in a minute, then if they go undefeated and these teams all lose one game, that team that goes undefeated is going to be in the championship. Not saying these teams aren't going to make the playoff. That's not what I'm saying at all. But this team is going to miss the Big Ten championship. And the team I'm going to talk about here in a little bit is going to make the Big Ten championship. So first off, let's look at Oregon's schedule here and see how realistic this is. All right. So how many games can they realistically lose? So when it comes to the Big Ten, Oregon plays Ohio State. They play Michigan, Wisconsin, Washington. That's their tougher games there. All right. So if they lose to Ohio State, then they could lose probably to one of these three teams here. I don't think they will, but even if they lose to Ohio State, now they could beat Ohio State. I will say that. And then moving on to Penn State. Penn State plays USC. That's not going to be easy. They play Ohio State. They play Wisconsin. They could lose any of those games, I think. All right. And then we've got Michigan. I think we looked at their schedule earlier, but we'll pull it up one more time. Then on Michigan, all right, you got Ohio State and then Oregon, all right, and USC. Okay, so them and Oregon, they're going to split that. So one of them is going to have a loss guaranteed out of this prediction, And then, like I said, in a minute, we'll talk about the team I've got actually in the Big Ten championship. But I think these three teams, Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan, miss the Big Ten championship. All right, so getting back to y'all's guys' comments real quick. Kevin says Penn State loses 4 games. Okay, so I'm assuming here probably West Virginia. Let's see, Ohio State. We just looked at their schedule. I can't remember it off the top of my head, though. I'm sharing the wrong tab, aren't I? My bad. There we go. All right, so Penn State loses 4 games. All right, let me pull up Michigan. Nope, Penn State schedule. There we go. All right, so I'm assuming here he's going to losing to West Virginia, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and USC. I think they will win all those games besides Ohio State, but all those teams can be competitive. West Virginia is going to be good. USC is solid. I think they're kind of questionable under Lincoln Riley, but they're not bad. Wisconsin is going to be improved. So, I don't see them losing 4 games, but it's possible. All right, Jeff. Alabama does not make the 12-team playoff. Okay. I've got them in the playoff right now, but with as tough as their schedule is, Alabama missing the playoff is not going to – that's not the wildest theory thrown out here. Their schedule's brutal, man. And we'll get to that in a little more in a little bit, but them losing multiple games is definitely not off the table. And then not making the 12-team playoff would kind of stick with that, maybe. Harry says, okay. Oh, man. Nathan, Boise State wins it all this year. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they'll win it all, but yeah, they could make the college football playoff, I guess. I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but they have improved that roster a lot. They've got Malachi Nelson at quarterback, so that roster's improved for sure. I'll go through a couple of y'all's. Cameron, Georgia goes 16-0. Harry's going to like this one. So until it happens, all right, talking about Alabama probably. Let's see, Georgia goes 16-0. So we talked about at the beginning of the stream. First off, I think Georgia's either number 1 or number 2 in my preseason rankings right now, but that schedule is so freaking tough. I don't see them going undefeated in the regular season. Not even saying they won't win the college football playoff, but I think maybe 15-1, might be a little more realistic because they play such a tough schedule. And we're going to talk about that a little when we get to my bowl predictions, but their schedule's so tough. I don't see how they go undefeated through that brutal schedule, man. Like they play Clemson, all right, and I think they'll beat Clemson, but that's a tough one for a non-con game. They play at Alabama. I think they play at Alabama. Play at Ole Miss. Play at Texas. It's not going to be easy. And we saw last year, how tough it is to go undefeated. All right, then Ryan on the opposite end of the spectrum. Bama wins a natty in year 1 under DeBoer. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier. Can Kalen DeBoer's offense kind of mesh with Jalen Milroe? And I think Jalen Milroe is solid. I don't think he's got a good arm, but he is a really good athlete. So he kind of offers a different element, than a normal quarterback would, because he can at least take off and run sometimes. Now Michigan made him look pretty bad, but Michigan made a lot of teams look bad though. But how is his offense going to mesh with him? I don't know, because he's going to have to shift a few things. He's not going to be able to air it out like Michael Penix Jr. could, I don't think. So they're both going to have to kind of shift a little things. DeBoer is going to have to make it a little more run heavy. And then in addition, Jalen Milroe is going to have to work on his arm during the offseason. Nathan, we're going to find out soon enough, man. I don't know. That, first day, I think when Saban left, when it was like the max exodus, it was like, oh, okay, we got a problem here. It's going to be tough. For some reason, Cameron on here twice. All right, so getting back to my bowl predictions here. All right, there you go. Rutgers makes the Big Ten championship. So Penn State misses it. Michigan misses it. Oregon misses it. The reason they miss it is because it's going to be Ohio State versus Rutgers in the Big Ten championship. We looked at Rutgers a little bit earlier. We're going to look at their schedule here in a minute. All right, so the main reason for this, again, I think is their schedule. First off, you've got Kyle Monunga at running back. I touched on this earlier. The leading Big Ten rusher last season is back, and this schedule is really manageable. And I'm not, like I said, this isn't even coming from a Rutgers fan. I have no ties to Rutgers whatsoever. But when I watched them play, I was like, this team's not bad. They're pretty good. They've got the running back. I like the way they play. All right. Any team that can ground and pound it like that, I'm a fan of. And again, with this schedule, it's not insane. They beat Virginia Tech last year. I know that's probably one of the better teams on their schedule. They beat them pretty handily. And even if they do lose to Virginia Tech, this is talking about the Big Ten, though, so it doesn't matter on that game. But Washington, they're going to take a step back. They lost a ton. Their coaching staff, their roster, they're all gone. Nebraska, they're going to be improved, but I think Rutgers has already been a little improved compared to them. You know what I mean? So I think they've got a little leg up there. Wisconsin, you've got Luke Fickell. You got Tyler Van Dyke. How are they going to look this year? Luke Fickell was kind of spotty in year 1. I think he's a good head coach, but he has improved that roster. That's going to be a tough one right there. Wisconsin versus Rutgers. I think that's like the game, one of 2 games that's like, this is the game Rutgers needs to win. And then we've got UCLA, they'll win that one. USC, this is the other one I'm a little worried about for Rutgers. Lincoln Riley, I know he's been spotty at USC, but that offense is always going to be fairly good. He's improved that defense, but I still think Rutgers can beat them. Now, the main reason for worry here, it's at 10 o'clock. So I don't know if this is my time, their time, probably my time, Central Time. So that's going to be a late game for Rutgers, and that's going to be like an 8 o'clock game for USC. So that's going to be a late one. I'm going to have to be staying up till 2 a.m. before I do my rankings. This freaking Nat is attacking me. So if they can beat Wisconsin, Nebraska, and freaking USC. Sorry, this bug getting on my nerves. They can beat those three teams. They're going to be fine because there's nobody else on the schedule I see them giving an issue. There's no reason Rutgers can't make the Big Ten championship, and that'll give us Ohio State versus Rutgers in the Big Ten championship. Now, will Rutgers make the college football playoff? That's a completely different discussion. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they make the Big Ten championship. I still think the other teams I talked about here are, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. They're going to make the playoff. That's not what I'm saying here. Maybe not Michigan, but the other two teams will. But Rutgers makes the Big Ten championship. I love man, Pac-12 after dark. It's going to be tough. Going to be missing those games, man. Staying up to watch USC and whoever in the Pac-12, All right, getting back to your guys here. Seth says Penn State has 2 1,000-yard receivers. So Seth's this made me choke a little bit. Seth really is banking on Drew Aller. All right, so Drew Aller, if this happens, Drew Aller is going to win the freaking Heisman because he's airing that thing out. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. That might be a little bold, in my opinion, for my taste, because I think Penn State just likes running the ball a little bit too much for this to happen, probably. But Drew Aller's he's not terrible. I know a lot of people crap on him, but I think this would take them being in a lot of close games where they're having to air it out to catch up. And I don't see that happening because I think they're going to be in the lead in a lot of games and they'll just kind of run the clock, run the ball to kind of end the game. All right, Harry says that's a bold prediction and will be a great thing for Rutgers. Yeah, hey, I'd be all for it, man. If they can make the Big Ten championship, I'd be all for that. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. Because like I said, the further we get down this list, they're bold, but I don't know how realistic they are, But they're realistic, but they're not. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to happen, but this one I could see happening. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, Nathan. Drew Aller with those 3 picks versus West Virginia. We're going to see. I think West Virginia can play with them. I would not be shocked if West Virginia beats Penn State. Kind of like I said at the beginning, I think West Virginia's offense and Penn State's defense is kind of going to be a stalemate. So West Virginia's defense is going to have to play really good against Penn State's offense to kind of even that game out, get some turnovers. All right, Matt. Florida State goes 13-0, wins the ACC, makes the semis in the college football playoff. All right, so how's that? Let's see. Florida State goes 13-0, wins the ACC, makes semis in the college football playoff. Let's think. First off, let's backtrack to last year. Are they undefeated? Missed the college football playoff. Are they going to have a vengeance for that or not? That's the real question. Mike Norvell has improved this roster, I think. Like he's loaded up in the transfer portal despite what they lost. Winning the ACC, we talked about that at the beginning. That's possible. I think there's a ton of teams that could do that. Makes the semis in the college football playoff. So if they win the ACC, all they got to do is win one game and then make the semis. So that would be – I'll pull up my playoff predictions in a little bit, the last one I did. So if they were to make the semis and win the ACC, all they got to do is win one game. So, that's not crazy. But going 13-0 is going to be tough because I don't know if they can beat Memphis, to be honest with you. Nathan says, a night game 2 in Morgantown. Okay. So, Penn State, West Virginia. I'm glad it's a night game because I'm a coach, Nathan. So Saturdays we're watching film all day till like 6 or 7. So that'll give me a chance to get home and actually watch the game. That's good. Harry says, I'm glad I'm not running pick'ems this fall. Now I can watch more ball and do less work. For sure, man. I am hosting a pick'em. I'll put a link in the community after this post or after this video. I'm hosting a pick'em like for everybody that's a subscriber here. Whoever wins the pick'em, it's going to last all year. So all you got to do is just pick whatever 10 games on ESPN it has that week, and whoever's like the winner at the end of the year is going to get a free AG mug or AG shirt, whatever you want. One free thing as long as you're a subscriber. So remind me at the end of the chat. I'll write that down actually, and I'll try to let me write that down real quick, and I'll try to remember to post that in the community after. Nathan, I see Florida State still have pretty good defense, but offense is a little iffy. I'm with you there. So DJ Ugalele, I think he's a winner coming over from, Clemson, Oregon State, but he's going to be a little different from what's his name, Jordan Travis, because he's not quite as dual threat as he is. I don't think. Uh, I don't think he's going to take off running as much as Jordan Travis did. He wins, but it depends on how much they ask from him because he's not going to put up the best numbers. And the talent they lost, they lost the running back. I think I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's going to depend on how well the roster meshes. Because they lost a ton from last season, man. I mean, I might have to break out the big jug again. I'm getting thirsty. These live streams do it to me, man. I don't usually talk this long in a row. DJ's a statue. Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be a little different because they have to ask him just like, sit back and let it rip. Now our defense is good, so I think, they're not gonna have to just be airing it out to catch up or anything. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on Florida State this season personally. I live stream a little bit during the summer. Like I said, when football season hits, like I'm gonna be pretty busy because I'm a high school coach. So usually what I'll do once college football season actually hits, like Saturday night, Sunday morning, I'll put out a weekly top 25 updated one every week. And then I'll preview a couple games. But as far as live streams, I'll do them during the summer when I can. Hopefully weekly, but that's not always the case. But for sure, when I reach like a sub milestone, if like right now I'm at like 1,600 subs. So like when I reach 1,750 or 2,000, I'll do another live stream when possible, If that doesn't hit till football season, it'll have to be like during our bye week or something. But I usually do when I can, but live streams are kind of up and down. But I do post videos, usually weekly or so. But appreciate the sub, man. All right, so we'll do a couple more y'all's, then we'll get back to mine. All right, so Matt, staying on Florida State. Well, we got a lot of Florida States. Now, a small maybe from Matt. All right, so Florida State announces they're moving to the Big Ten. Okay, I like this one. So talking about a little expansion talk here. We talked about that like back during like Christmas break. I think it's been a little bit since we talked about that, but that's kind of been the rumor. Where's Florida State going to go? Are they going to go to the SEC? Are they going to go to the Big Ten? Heck, are they even going to go to the Big 12? I don't know because I really don't know. There's so many different aspects these ways could go. Let me. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't remember off the top of my head my expansion candidates. Pull this up real quick. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. There we go. Tech even. Good. All right, let's see. So these are my Big Ten expansion candidates. I did this video a while back. Come here,
There's a point at the end of a project.
You're freaking kidding me.
When you realize, but what in the world do I want in here or here?
It's one of those where
Florida State at number 3. Okay. And then who did I have at number? Is it Notre Dame probably? Yeah. So I had Notre Dame number 1, North Carolina number 2, Florida State number 3. So will they go to the Big Ten? They're going to be a moneymaker, Florida State, if the Big Ten decides to expand. But really, the Big Ten and SEC, they don't have to expand right now. There's no reason to. I know there's always more money out there, but in reality, do they need to expand? I don't know, because they're probably set in their ways right now. Do they really need to go out and find a new team? Probably not. All right, staying on the Florida State hype train. All right, Florida State makes the national championship. That's coming from Hyde. So Florida State getting a lot of love here. Man, I don't know. I don't see it right now. Now, they did last year. They were better than I thought they were. Not obviously at the end of the year, but like they did beat LSU. They beat LSU. Barely at the beginning of the year. I think that Memphis game is going to tell a lot. And I know that sounds insane, but I'm pretty high on Memphis this year. I think that game is going to show a bunch about Florida State. All right, getting back to my bowl predictions here. I don't remember exactly how many we have left. Can't be too many. We got a few more. All right, here we go. Georgia, Texas, and Alabama. This freaking Nats pissing me off. Missed the SEC championship. All right, sticking with kind of the bigger schools missing the championships. Georgia, Texas, and Bama. We talked about this in the Big Ten already, with Michigan, Penn State, Oregon missing the championships. Why are Georgia, Texas, and Alabama going to miss the championship? I know it's crazy, Harry. All right, don't get to. I'm not saying, in my opinion, these are the three best teams in the SEC. First off, but this is from their tough schedule. So the other teams don't play as tough of a schedule. So first off, we'll go in order here. Let's look at Georgia's schedule. All right, pull this thing up. Looking at Georgia's schedule here. All right. Clemson, that game doesn't matter because we're talking SEC here. Okay, so that's not going to have any impact. But let's look at the losable games in the SEC. Alabama, I think now, again, I don't think any of these teams are better than Georgia. But when you play these tough games back to back to back, it starts to wear on you. And the good news is with the playoff expansion, you can lose 2 games and still make the playoff. But realistically speaking, who could they lose to here? Alabama, it's been done before. That's a maybe. Texas, that team's talented. That's a maybe. Ole Miss, I don't see Ole Miss beating them. They kind of beat the crap out of Ole Miss last year, but that Ole Miss roster is improved. Tennessee, same situation. I don't know if they could, but that team is improved. Okay. So this is one of the bold predictions that I don't necessarily see happening, but it is a realistic scenario that could possibly happen. Now, again, if this scenario did happen, I would say similar to this year, I would not want to play Georgia if they make it in the college football playoff. If this happened, like that's not something I would want to do because they're probably going to be on a vengeance. All right, let's see. Now we're on Alabama. All right, so what games could they lose? We're talking Georgia, obviously. All right, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU. Could Auburn or Oklahoma beat them? Possibly. We saw Auburn almost beat them last year. But mainly here, Georgia, Tennessee, this 3-game stretch right here, they're losing one of these, possibly 2. Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, I would not be shocked if they lose 2 of these games. Because Missouri, I think, is going to be really good, and then Tennessee and LSU, I think, are going to be pretty solid as well. All right, then we'll look at Texas. So as of right now, we got Texas probably losing to Georgia. Like I said, I think Georgia is going to lose at least one of those games. But in this scenario, we've got them losing 2 in this prediction. But in this prediction for Texas, all right, they're losing to Georgia. Then they're losing to either Oklahoma or A&M. All right, they lost to Oklahoma last year. Not insane to think they will again, even though I obviously just said Oklahoma will go 500. Then A&M, could they get their get back? We'll see. So this isn't necessarily one I just completely believe in, but it is something that is a somewhat realistic scenario, Now, is it going to happen? Highly unlikely, but could it happen? Could UMass beat Georgia, according to Nathan? We're talking real life here, not NCAA, Nathan. Come on. All right, Harry says, win. Bama has whiskey before us. Texas has UU before us. I like that last one. All right. Yeah, because y'all beat the crap out of Ole Miss last year. I'll give you all that one. And yeah, very bold. All right. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. This is one I don't think is necessarily, going to happen. But I was like, is it possible? Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance. I know, Nathan. I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you. All right. So getting back to y'all's chats real quick. We'll do a page and we'll go back to mine. West Virginia has the best duo in college football and Gigi and Jaheim. So I was talking about Garrett Green at quarterback and Jaheim at running back. Garrett Green's good. Our best duo in the nation. That's might be stretching it a little bit. I think there's probably a better duo out there, but they're definitely up there. I mean, I would say definitely top 25 for sure because Garrett Green's really good. Corral, Iowa goes 7-5. Okay, I really don't see Iowa going 7-5, man. So they have a really easy schedule. I think Iowa at Lurch probably loses like 3 games, probably, but 7-5 is probably pushing it because they usually are around that 10-win range. I think almost their entire team almost coming back. They're improving in quarterback. They got McNamara at quarterback. I hope y'all can't hear all that water sloshing around, man. I'm sorry. Harry, always a chance to college football. Dogs are human. True. It's possible, man. I don't know. I know that was kind of their stipulation last year. He had like average certain amount of points a game. Otherwise, he's getting fired, the coach's son. Now, I think their offense will be better. If you don't know, Cade McNamara is going to be the quarterback at Iowa this year. He was the starter at Michigan before J.J. McCarthy took over. He was hurt last year. So I think their offense is going to be improved. All right, that's the last one on this page. We'll go back to mine. All right, again, we're getting bolder here. So building off of that last one, all right, and that last one again, for those that forgot, Georgia, Texas, and Alabama missed the SEC championship, which means Missouri wins the SEC. All right, so I don't think Missouri is the best team in the SEC. I'll go ahead and say that. The best team in the SEC is one of those three teams I just talked about. But, again, with tough schedules, with kind of the expanded playoff, I think you kind of have the luxury of like, yeah, we can lose a game. It's going to be okay. Missouri, in this prediction, they beat either Ole Miss, Tennessee, or LSU in the SEC championship. Because if those other teams all have multiple losses and miss the SEC championship, Missouri's going to have one loss, and the other team in this scenario, whether it's Tennessee, LSU, who am I blanking on? Ole Miss. Mizzou lost Solo and D. I know they lost a lot of their defense. Running back, I think they'll be fine. They bring in, I know they lost Cody Schrader. He was really good, but they bring in Marcus Carroll from Georgia State. He was a top 10 running back stat-wise in the country at Georgia State. I think they're going to be fine on offense, but defense is a big deal. But the main reason for Missouri, I think even if they lose a game, their schedule is very manageable. Missouri has a really good schedule. Even if they lose to Alabama, they're still making the championship, I think, because I think all the other teams are going to lose 2 games. Possibly, So I think Missouri's still going to make the championship even if they lose to Bama. If Alabama loses too, if Georgia and Texas lose too, I'm losing my mind here. They still got, was it Thicker the Kicker? Is that his name? So, I'm losing my mind here all of a sudden. What the heck? Can't win the SEC without defense. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. But if they get now, I don't know if they can beat one of the 3 teams I just talked about, Alabama, Georgia, or Texas, but I do think they can beat Ole Miss, Tennessee, or LSU. All right, getting back to y'all's real quick. Whoa, okay, we're getting really bold now. Florida makes the playoffs. This dude has to be a Florida fan. Aiden, what are we doing, baby? Florida, if they make the playoff, I don't know. We're going to have to celebrate on the stream because Billy Napier is definitely on the hot seat. I don't know if he makes it through the freaking season, man. Billy Napier. Let's see. Jackson. Wow, late night. What's going on, Jackson? Okay, Thicker the Kicker's gone. That's a bummer, man. I was hoping for some more 60-yard dingers. Memphis going to be awesome this year. Jackson, yeah, we talked about Memphis not too long ago. I've got them in the college football playoff this year being Florida State. So if you rewind a little bit, you'll find that one. Nathan, whatever Aiden's smoking on what's up. Aiden's definitely on something, man, because Florida, man, let's look at their schedule quick. Don't they have the toughest schedule in the country? Isn't that what's going around this year? All right, let's look at this. Okay, they play – oh, my gosh. Okay, they play Miami. All right, serious question. Can Florida beat Stanford? That's the real question here. Right? Is it possible? All right, they play Miami. So, yeah, they do. All right, Harry, yeah, they do have the toughest schedule. I couldn't remember. Oh, man. Now, they could beat Miami. I mean, it's in the swamp. Texas A&M. Yeah, so Florida was the one when I was doing my SEC tier list power rankings, I was trying to find one of these teams that had a sneaky easy schedule that was in the lower tier. That was one of the worst teams in the SEC, like Florida, but had talent to where they were if they have a really easy schedule, if they play all the bad teams in the SEC, they could somehow sneak up, But yeah, holy crap. Tennessee, Central Florida. Can they even run Florida here? Miami and Central Florida, can they even win those games? Probably not. But yeah, those are tough non-con. A&M, they might could beat them. Mississippi State, they might could beat them. So let's say they put them like 3-1 right here, probably. Let's say for argument's sake, they beat A&M. That puts you at 3-1. Let's see, Florida, they might could be Central Florida. It's 4-1 going into Tennessee. Probably gonna lose to Tennessee. Kentucky's not gonna be easy. Georgia, holy crap! Yeah, look at this stretch right here. Ole Miss, Texas, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida State. Holy crap! Yeah, that backstretch is rough. Why do they have such a tough non-conference? They're trying to get Billy fired or what, man? Because I mean, just imagine here. Let's see what would their record be if all these non-con games are easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So still only 7 wins. Being generous, you know. What was that, Magic Man? What you say? Man, yeah, it's looking rough, man. It's probably not happening. Aiden, I love the boldness, though. I appreciate you. I love it. Florida leaving SEC of this. Yeah, I know. It looks like it, right? They're trying to go to the ACC or the Big 12. 7-5. Yeah. Aiden, I don't know. I'll have what he's having. All right, we got Duck here. Ducks won the Big Ten first year out of the gates. So Oregon, we talked about a lot on this pod, not on this pod, on the stream already. They're getting a lot of love up and down, you know, like, will they make the playoff? Will they win the Big Ten? Will they have 3 losses? Could go any which ways. I don't know if they're going to win the Big Ten, but I think they definitely can make the college football playoff. All right, then Nate says Ohio State loses in October and again to Michigan. So I think that's talking about probably, I would assume Oregon or Penn State probably. So Michigan has had their number lately, so that wouldn't be insane. Rough on the backstretch. That's why we love it. Sunbelt Billy gets bought out. So let me scroll up back to this Florida comment so people know what we're talking about. I would not be surprised there, man. Because I'm kind of shocked, man. I thought Billy Napier would actually do good at Florida because he was really good at Louisiana, and really his roster is not terrible. But with that tough a schedule, unless they choose to give him another year, it's not happening. Now, as far as who could be their next coach, there's been a lot of people talking about Jeb Fish at Washington from Arizona. I think he's a graduate of Florida. Jamie Chadwell at Liberty. That's another one. I'd probably say Fish is probably who they'll go with, but Urban Meyer, we love, everybody always throws that name out there. Tim Tebow, yes, sir. American Conference can take Florida. Yeah, I mean, with that schedule, holy crap, they might need it. I don't even think they can make it through the American. Well, Duck it. Duck is high as a kite. Yeah, Duck's definitely on something. I don't know. He's on that good. Sometimes you got to. Thought hurricane season was over. All right. So I've only got one more of my bowl predictions. So we're going to finish out y'all's, and then we'll finish out with mine. All right, scrolling down to Kevin. Donovan Edwards is a Heisman finalist. I can see this one happening. All right, he's put up good numbers when he's had the chance, when he's gotten an opportunity. We saw what he did in the national championship to Washington. And with, like I said, the question marks on their roster, in particular, a wide receiver and quarterback, they're definitely going to have to run the ball. And they're going to hand it to Donovan Edwards a bunch. Now, what's going to hurt him, I think, a little bit stat-wise is that lack of respect for their downfield passing game right now. So they're going to make them prove it. Like they're going to walk up their corners, walk up their safeties. They're going to stack the box with their linebackers. They're going to make them throw it deep with Alex Orji, make him prove it. And so they're going to try to stop Donovan Edwards, which is going to impact it at first. But I think Donovan Edwards is probably better than Blake Corum, to be honest with you. Just, he couldn't take his spot because of, how good Blake Corum is. Jimbo Fisher. Oh my gosh, back in Florida once again. I think Jimbo's sitting pretty, man. All that money. Billy hasn't hired the best ACs. His recruiting is mid. Yeah, who's the? I can't think of the quarterback's name off the top of my head, but he's bringing in a really good quarterback. Is it DJ Lagway or something like that? I can't think of his name right now. Fisher sucks, Magic Man says. No, you suck. Just kidding. Yeah, Jimbo Fisher, he made that money. That's for freaking sure, man. Dom Edwards is a great running back. I agree, man. He's impressed me when I saw him. Like, he's looked really, really good, particularly against Washington. I can imagine right now, those couple games. These comments crack me up, man. To be honest, Magic Man, when I first read that, I thought that said eat. So we're just going to leave it at that. Take that as you will. Let's see what we got here. Dom Edwards, a mini Derrick Henry. He is impressive, man. No doubt. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year, though, because like I said, they're going to really rely on him a lot. And with Alex Orji's kind of lack of improvement so far as to Lagway, that's who I was talking about. Yeah, I agree with you, though. He doesn't really have any weapons. So he was just the one that comes to mind. I don't even think he's going to start at first because they got, was it Graham Mertz or whatever? So I think they're going to try to win, since Billy probably thinks if I start Lagway all year, yeah, it'll help us in the long run, but I'm not going to be around to see it. So I might as well go with Graham Mertz if that gives us the best chance to win. Teach a man to fish and he will never starve. Amen. Seth Hennigan. Yes, Seth Hennigan is a beast, man. We talked about him at the beginning of the stream. Jackson looked at his stats from last year. The dude's a beast. All right, so let me see. I think we got a few more of y'all's. Oh, we got some more Gator love here. Gators keep Napier after 4th consecutive losing season. Man. I mean, that schedule can't be that tough again, right? I don't know. Because if they keep him again, I really don't know what they're holding out hope on. I mean, and I've thought, like I said, I don't think he's a bad coach. Like, he did really good at Louisiana, but at Florida, he just hadn't done a good job. And you really never know with those G5 hires. Like, heck, even when guys that have been at the P5, have success one place, go to another place, and it just won't happen. Some guys are just cut out for the G5. Like, Billy Napier will probably go back to a G5 school eventually and have a lot of success. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes it's not meant to be. I think we got a few more of your guys' chats. All right, Boise State beats Oregon in week 2. I think it's the last one. All right, and then we'll go back to my last bowl prediction. Boise State beats Oregon in week 2 and makes the college football playoff. So, can they beat Oregon? A lot of people are going to say yes. All right, whenever I did my poll recently of which G5 school do you think can make the college football playoff, the highest vote was Boise State. I don't necessarily agree with that because, like I said, Boise State lost like 6 games last year. So I don't think they can even compete with Oregon. Now, Boise State's roster has improved. They ended the year really good. But I think Oregon's going to wipe the floor with Boise State, to be honest with you. I could be wrong there because I think Boise has improved. Ashton Jeanty's really good. Good name, too. But they got Malachi Nelson coming in at quarterback. So their offense is going to be good. Spencer Danielson is the head coach now, but I think Oregon's too much for them. That defense for Oregon is going to be nasty this year. All right, we had a few comments I missed. Let's see. Number 10. Or you could think of it in terms of Waterboy. I don't really make it. Nick, I agree. All right, I think they'll fire Napier and hire Jedd Fisch. I would agree with that. I think that's what's going to happen as well, man. Nope on Boise. Boise calls Memphis daddy. They did lose to him last year. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Philip Fulmer. I haven't heard that name in a while. Oregon 48, Boise State 7. That's probably fairly accurate. I'm going to go let's go 41 to 17. 56-10. Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with y'all for the most part. All right, so I think that's the last of y'all's bold predictions. I'll look at mine. So again, all these responses of their bold predictions that were featured on here, courtesy of Bleacher Report, Twitter, email, the comments. All right. I also put it in the Discord. Okay, so if you're not a member of the Discord chat, I'll put a link in that in the community after this video. You can go check that out. The Bleacher Report, no reason to follow me on there or anything. I'll post it every now and then, like, hey, what do you think of what are your bold predictions for this season? You know, crap like that. Like I did that today. I took responses for a couple hours and I put those on here for a little bit. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, Tennessee kicked me out of their chat. I said, what are your bold predictions for this season? And I think a Tennessee dude said, what did he say? He said for you to get the heck out of here or something. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you can always shoot me an email or whatever. Follow me on Twitter. I don't usually post too much on Twitter because I'm on my other one most of the time. But all right, now getting to my last bold prediction. Are you guys ready for this? First off, I'll take this question. Jackson says you always stream 8-10 every night. Kind of depends, man. So I don't always stream. I usually do it when I meet like either have some free time or reach a milestone or whatever. Whether it's 1,600 subs, 2,000 subs, whatever. Right now I'm at like 1,600. So I'll probably do another one. I reach 1,750 or when I just get some free time over the next week or so. It is summer right now, so I try to do a little when I can. So I might do another one later this, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. I'll probably do another one like, I don't know. I'll put out a poll tomorrow. We'll see what people vote on as far as when I'll do one next week and what the next stream will do, but not usually too often because once I get to football season, I am a coach, like I was telling them, so I'm pretty busy during that time. So usually once football season starts, I'll put out like my AG polls, what I call it. It's my top 25 rankings and then my top 10 G5 school rankings. I'll put that out as well. So yeah, but not every night usually though. No. Which chat? I think that was in the college football chat, Harry, in particular. Because I put it in the college football one and then like a couple teams that I was like, oh yeah, they'll probably have a lot of, hype about this one. All right, Nathan, I'll see you, man. Have a good one. Appreciate you. Yeah, Nick. So we talked about that earlier. We already talked about this bowl prediction actually. So this isn't my last one. My last one's going to be this next one I'm going to put up. The problem for Missouri is a loaded Georgia team. I agree. So with the prediction I had here, I didn't have Georgia in the SEC championship or Alabama or Texas. I had them all with multiple losses because they just play such tough schedules, and Missouri only plays Alabama. So I don't think Missouri's better than any of those teams, but with that, I think they had a shot. Yeah, dude. There were some people responded, then other people were like going off. So, all right, yeah, I'll have to look into that one, man. Oh, here, yeah, on X, it's just my name. Just you can probably look up AG like my name, and it'll probably pop up. But again, I don't really post too much on there, really too much anymore. I used to a little bit, but yeah, I usually just don't really have time to. I'll post a lot on here during the community. Though, like I'll ask y'all questions. But let's get to my last bowl prediction before I forget. All right, this is my last one here. Oh, did it skip it? My bad. All right, last one. Rutgers or Iowa make the college football playoff. Sorry, this one's cracking me up. Feeling like the Febreze brothers because we're feeling so fresh right now. If anybody besides Magic Man can tell me what movie feeling like the Febreze brothers because we're feeling so fresh right now, let me know down in the comment section. Maybe we should call ourselves the Febreze brothers because feeling so fresh right now. We just thinking to yourself another fresh start. All right, so last one. Sorry, back on track before I forget. Magic Man always distracting me, man. All right. Rutgers or Iowa make the college football playoff. So we talked about it a little earlier. Let me backtrack to that prediction. All right, so these three teams, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, missed the Big Ten championship. That means Rutgers makes the Big Ten championship because they have no losses. All right, and so the reason I have Rutgers or Iowa making the college football playoff is because Rutgers is in this scenario, they're undefeated. All right, they make the Big Ten championship. They either, I'm not saying they're going to beat Ohio State, but that's who I've got them playing right now. And so the reason I have this matchup is what's going to come down to. Both these teams have a really manageable schedule, first off, and I've got their only losses to Ohio State. So which one of them plays with Ohio State closer? That's what it's going to come down to, I think. So looking at Iowa's schedule, all right, they play Iowa State. That one's going to be tough. But other than that, other than Ohio State here, besides Wisconsin, who are they losing to? They don't play Michigan. They don't play Penn State. They don't play Oregon. They don't play USC. They don't play Rutgers. Nebraska and Wisconsin, yeah, they're probably going to lose to Ohio State, but if they can beat Iowa State, though, if they can just keep it fairly close with Ohio State, they're going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like if they can keep it within probably 17, they're going to have a chance to make the playoff. And then it would come down to them, a one-loss Iowa team with a loss to, Ohio State. Why can't I talk all of a sudden? Versus a Rutgers team, which went undefeated, and then has one loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. So it's going to come down to which one of them loses by less to Ohio State. That's what I'm thinking. I know, man. Those schedules are it's very manageable, man. Like I don't know how both these teams got these easy schedules, but I think Ohio State plays all the tough teams. You know, Penn State. So Ohio State probably won't go undefeated, to be honest with you, because they. Let me backtrack a second. What if, similar to that SEC prediction, let's say this scenario happens. Let's run down this rabbit hole real quick. All right. So let me get a drink before I run down this rabbit hole because it's going to be a minute. Let's say Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan all have multiple losses in the Big Ten, which means Iowa, yeah, they lose to Ohio State, but that puts them at one loss. All those teams have two. Rutgers and Iowa in the Big Ten championship. Probably not going to happen, but it is possible because all those teams play such a tough schedule compared to these two teams. You like that water, Jackson? Thank you. I'm putting in the work, man. It's freaking gallon, man. I'm putting in work. I had to refill it before the stream. I mean, you know, I don't think it'll happen, but it's not similar with the SEC, like with them all playing each other. You know, it could happen to where one of the teams, like think back to the SEC with Missouri, they only play Alabama. So even if they lost that game, like they somehow sneak into the championship. And with the way it is now, you know, the team that wins the championship is automatically in. Yeah, I agree, Nick. I'm with you. Yeah, dude, it's some serious math. I'd have to pull up all the schedules and look at it. We'll have to do that another day. So I did recently I released which conference did I do the other day? All the SEC teams that can make the college football playoff. I'll do that with the Big Ten here pretty soon. And then I'll kind of break down, you know, what could happen in these scenarios. But guys, we're approaching 2 hours. I think we made it through all of the bold predictions, all of your bold predictions. So if y'all got any last minute comments, we'll talk about them here in a second. So if you got any last minute comments, drop them down in the comment section real quick for me. I am going to pull up for y'all watching my most recent college football playoff predictions because you may have not seen that. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. We'll look at this and then we'll get out of here because I know we're approaching 2 hours now. Let's see. Trying to find this thing real quick, guys. Where's that at? Sorry, guys, I'm struggling here. I'm trying here. While I'm doing that, y'all answer Harry's question for me. Yeah, I know, Jackson. Well, if y'all can keep some questions, I'll stay here as long as y'all want to talk. I got nothing better to do tonight, so let's see. I'll be honest with you, Harry, I don't know the answer. I don't know if I know the answer to that one. We should be looking at it now. Agreed, Jackson. Fun party. Shark Tank. Hey-o. Is that a fact, Magic Man? I don't know about it. Oh, he answered it. I'm good. The water is wet. How do you tell if alligators are in the water? The water is wet. Or it's moist. Slide. Come on now. Don't be hating on college football now. It is headed towards that direction, though. I'm a little worried, man. They completely opened the can of worms on the transfer portal thing, and it's a little worrisome. Sliding those DMs, baby. All right, looking at this is my latest college football playoff predictions. I released this, I think, might have been last month. I can't remember. But this is what it was. I'll explain it a little bit. If I can remember, it's honestly been a little bit since I looked at these. So let's look at it. All right, so we'll go from 12 to 1. 12, I had Memphis, all right, as the G5 representative. All right, we already talked about them. NC State, I had them here with 1 loss to Clemson in the ACC championship with a win over Tennessee. They play Tennessee, that's right. Then number 10, I had Missouri. All right, that was with a loss to Alabama. So let's see, number 9, I had Ole Miss, 8, Alabama. 7, I had Penn State, and 6, I had Oregon, both with losses to Ohio State. And then 4, I had Clemson. All right, the reason they were at 4 is because I had them losing multiple games to Georgia, to NC State, and then beating NC State in the ACC championship. Oklahoma State, I think I had them losing to Utah in the regular season and then dipping them in the Big 12 championship. Then to Georgia, I had Georgia obviously kind of losing one of those games. That's the reason they're behind Ohio State. But looking at their schedules, I would not be shocked if Georgia and Ohio State have losses going in. And then in the hunt, I had LSU with 2 losses. I might have had 3 losses. I can't remember. Then Louisville, Miami, Utah, and Florida State, all with 1 loss. Then I dropped Notre Dame out. And so if you don't remember, if you don't know, the top 4 are because the teams that win their conference, the P4 conference champions, have to be the top 4 seeds. So I'm not necessarily saying Clemson's better than, Texas, for example, or Oklahoma State. That's just because they won their conference. Mike Gundy's paying me, Magic Man. That's just paying me in my pocketbook. They might, man. Seth Hennigan might light up that. Might light it up. And then, hold on, let me scroll down because I've been taking, like I said, I've been doing y'all's polls. I've been taking y'all poll in what am I trying to say? I've been taking y'all's poll in the community. All right, that just sounded really bad. Pause. But these are the 7 teams y'all have voted on in the college football playoff right now: Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, Boise. Those are the 7 teams you guys have for sure voted on. Let me see if I can pull up that for you guys real quick. I'll get to my channel. It's pissing me off. There we go. Let's see. First off, all right, Harry, OK State is a veteran roster back. Yeah, dude, their roster's good. And don't forget, they made the Big 12 championship last year. They bring back Ollie Gordon at running back. They bring back Bowman at quarterback. They bring back receiver. That defense is very oh, man, I can tell it's getting late because I'm cracking up at everything. I might have. I don't know. Who knows? Bring that 0 rushing yards from Iowa State Memphis game. All right, so this is what I'd ask you guys. No, I guess nobody got that movie reference when Magic Man dropped it. Somebody got that one. For Breeze Brothers. I'm talking to you. Think you a big man? Yeah, sorry, Harry, man. It's golly. All right. All right, let's see. Will NC State make the college football playoff? So this is what I've been putting with y'all's guys. And then when I release my next college football playoff predictions, I'm going to put y'all's right along with it. All right, so I'll put like who y'all have. Right now, y'all only have those 7 teams. So NC State looks like probably no. All right, then let's see here. Kansas State, also a no. Miami's a no. Oklahoma State, this one's surprising to me. So I actually think Oklahoma State should be the favorite in the Big 12, but they're not. Here's kind of off topic, but EA Sports College Football 25 comes out next month. So I'm going to probably be live streaming some of that when that comes out. So be on the lookout for that. Oklahoma, no. Utah, so this is the closest one that's kind of yes and no. Yeah. So, and I think Kansas State's getting a lot of love in the betting odds, you know. Magic Man, I think I'm the only one catching your references you're dropping, man. I don't think anybody else is catching that. I'm going to go ahead and spit it out. Hold on, I actually might have that movie back here. Where's it at? Where's this movie at? There it is. Oh, so if anybody don't know what movie Magic Man's talking about, there it is right there. The other guys. All right, back on track. Sorry. Yeah, Kansas State's going to be a tough out, man. That roster is pretty loaded. They've got Avery Johnson back. He's going to kind of take over for Will Howard. So that's kind of where the question marks come in. Their running back room's pretty stacked as well. I think they'll be pretty good. Houston, we have a problem. All right, so let's see. Ohio State making the playoff. Y'all voted 85% yes. Florida State, this is a close one, 49% and 51%. So Ohio State was one of the teams you guys voted in so far. That one could end up changing eventually. It's pretty close. Notre Dame was a no as well. Let's see. LSU, also a no. I was kind of shocked with this one. I thought this one would be a little closer to yes. Georgia, all right, really heavily here, 90% yes in terms of will they make the college football playoff. Missouri, 73% no. All right, so this one I'm kind of surprised by because looking at their schedule, and I'm assuming a lot of people didn't when making this, but I think they will make the college football playoff. Now, will they win the SEC or not? I don't know. That's probably a little over the top, but I think they will make the playoff. All right, so then G5 wise, who has the best chance to make the playoff? This one surprised me as well. I know a lot of people love Boise, so they were the leader here, but I would say Memphis probably has a better chance because, again, Boise lost like 6 games last year. Michigan, 57% no. I'm trying to get back to it. I had a few. Clemson, 76% no. Alabama, 72% yes. Ole Miss, 56% yes. Penn State, 58% no. Texas, 87% no. Oregon, 81% no. Now we got a few more comments, then I'm probably going to get out of here, guys. So if you got any last-minute comments, go ahead and drop them down below for me because I'm obviously tripping now. I'm clicking the wrong screen. Yeah, I don't know. They play a pretty tough schedule, and I guess Ohio State's pretty their head coach is kind of widely disregarded. Memphis, Boise's little brother. All right, guys. So thank you for joining tonight. All right, these have been my top 10 bowl predictions as well as some of your bowl predictions. If I can find some free time over the next week, I'll try to go live again. I'll put out a poll probably tomorrow or tonight as far as which live stream you would like to see more. As right now, it's probably looking like my updated SEC power rankings or something else. Can't remember what the other one I was looking at. There's one other idea I've got in mind. I'll have to look at what I've written down. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll put the Discord link in the community. I'll put my link to my ESPN College Football Pick'em, which I said, where's my mug at? The winner if you're a subscriber, you get a free mug. So be on the lookout for that. If you click that link, join. If you're a subscriber, like I said, if you win throughout the whole season, whoever's in the lead at the end will get the choice from a free mug, free cup, whatever. But these mugs are on sale now. I'm not trying to push them, but go check it out. Harry says, take care. Enjoyed it. You too, man. Appreciate you for joining. Magic Man, I don't know if I remember saying that, but say what you want, you know. But guys, thanks for joining. If you're watching this on replay, if you didn't yet, let me know your bowl predictions down in the comment section. But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your bowl predictions. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. And most importantly, subscribe.